Hello and welcome to another CyberCom Gaming episode. This is John. We're back this week with an incredible lineup, and it's such an exciting time for gaming. Indeed, a growing and vibrant platform that is full with incredible games and advancements. Just as last week, and further to some gaming news, we had their Pokemon Direct, where they showcased Pokemon Sword and Shield, the 8th generation of the Pokemon games, which is scheduled to release late 2019. Then also further to some news, or rather leaked news surrounding Xbox, which is set to launch Project X Cloud, a new streaming service which is expected in the upcoming months. Nintendo Switch also turned 2 years on March 3rd. Indeed, a strong comeback for Nintendo with its hybrid console, which is one of the most popular pieces of hardware to come out of Nintendo in recent years. Now March is packed with some awesome titles. Here's 5 great titles to look out for early this month. So covering this week in gaming, we have the opinion that over the past few years there's been some incredible horror games, with Resident Evil 7 being one of our favorites. But today we wanted to share 5 scary games that will surely give you some nightmares, before we then finish with our game of the week. All and much more, this is CyberCom Gaming. Okay, now a game must be exceptionally scary or even disturbing to its core to actually give most people nightmares. But we've compiled a list of 5 scary games that comes pretty close, or even been bound to give most people nightmares. You've been warned. And at our number 5, and indeed a game that will surely help us along, we've got Dark Souls. A game where players face off against frightening horrors, the undead, and more creatures that will fill your heart with terror. Eerie environments, that impending sense of doom, and the knowledge that you will die repeatedly can and will get some gamers. Well, others see it as a worthy challenge. It is the challenge, grind, and the dark world that really makes this franchise stand out above all the rest. We've picked Dark Souls because, well, Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executor smile. Yep, that should cause some shivers to run down the spine of some Souls veterans. You can die and die against one boss in a Souls game, but this encounter throws 2 at you at the same time. This is truly a thing of nightmares, and even if you manage to kill one, the other one becomes supercharged. There is no doubt that Ornstein and Smar has given even the most hardcore players nightmares in the past. What's even better or worse, depending on how you look at it, is the original Dark Souls remastered version has been out, which means Ornstein and Smar would be able to crush and haunt the dreams of a new generation of gamers. And for our number 4, we've got the iconic Dead Space, where you first trip into the cold, dark corners of space as Isaac Clarke, the original Dead Space protagonist. Dead Space is one of the most disturbing video game experiences you will ever have, guaranteed. The game plays off in an interstellar mining ship in an over-the-shoulder third-person shooter perspective with an intense atmosphere. The necromorphs, monstrous reanimated members of the crew, coupled with a story that feels as if it brewed in a nightmarish hell in the highly disturbing audio logs found throughout the game, will keep you on your toes right up until the end. If you complete Dead Space in 1 or 2 settings, especially at night, prepare to meet those necromorphs again in your dreams. Both Dead Space 2 and 3 are also great games, but in our opinion, they didn't quite deliver the same experience as the first, especially in the boots of Mr. Clarke. Those moments of desperation and frightening setting can and will give you some nightmares because, well, no one can hear your screams. Third on our list, and a title that released way back in 2005 but still haunts us ever since, we've got f.e.a.r, which is First Encounter Assault Recon. It gave me about 2 biggest scares I've ever experienced in gaming. Those 2 frights, for anyone who can remember the game, had to do with a ladder. Just had to get to the top and getting hit over the head. The game was developed by Monolith Productions as a first-person survival horror. However, that wasn't why f.e.a.r gave nightmares. Instead, it was due to one of the most frightening and genuinely disturbing antagonists we've ever encountered. Her name was Alma, a small girl with telepathic powers. Every time the gameplay slowed down, I could almost sense her presence. If you haven't played the original f.e.a.r, then you definitely should, but Alma can and probably will haunt your dreams. Second on our list, and a game that will surely have you shaking in your boots, we've got Amnesia: The Dark Descent, a worthy title next to Fatal Frame, and one of which slightly edged for second place. In this game, not only are you completely weaponless, you are defenseless as well. The monsters will get you in one hit, so there's nothing you can do against them but just run for your life. The catch, as there's always a catch in horror games, is they cannot see you in the dark. Problem is, your sanity takes a nosedive as soon as you spend a few minutes in complete darkness. Your sanity is not just the meter in the top right hand corner. Either your vision gets shaky or your breath quickens until your own panic is all you can hear. The mechanic alone is enough to propel the entire game, but there's so much more to Amnesia. You get so wired, the slightest thing will have you turning and running like hell. For example, like a torch you did not light, or a doll suddenly appearing while you're busy checking the rest of the room. If you can find someone who likes horror games but has not played Amnesia yet, watching them play is pure and hilarious. Some Let Plays ideas right here. Amnesia without a doubt is worth paying money for. Maybe keep the lights on though, just get your heart to settle into a more steady rhythm. And we've made it to our top spot, and a game that is surely nightmarish to its core, especially when it comes to representing real terror and its consequences, well, that can only be Silent Hill 2. Its legacy is prevalent and ushered in a new era of horror that emphasized psychological terror over the undead and or jump scares. First released for the PS2 in 2001, the disturbing Konami game centers around a character called James Sutherland, who's armed with only a flashlight, a radio and a few unimpressive firearms as he ventures through a foggy town in search of his apparently not so deceased wife. Well, what made Silent Hill 2 stand out as our favorite, however, wasn't the bizarre mystery, which ends in one of gaming's most infamous twists, or even its foggy, unwelcoming atmosphere, but rather its increasing disturbing and psychological journey into the repressed thoughts of its protagonist James, and the tortured souls he meets along the way. Emotional tragedy, guilt, anger, sexual abuse, and the horrible ways the resulting trauma manifests are handled with grace and maturity that only strengthen Silent Hill 2's disturbing subject matter. The mounting feeling that you are fleeing from an inescapable mistake, all leading up to the haunting revelation at the end and a devastating fight against one of video gaming's most menacing antagonists, makes Silent Hill 2 a game that will likely cause you to wake up in the middle of the night with cold sweat running down your forehead. We know, Petey isn't exactly a game, not even technically a demo. In fact, some critics don't exactly know how to categorize it. But Hideo Kojima's playable trailer for his cancelled Silent Hill reboot, Silent Hills, was still one of the scariest snippets of gaming glory to come out of 2014. PT saw players exploring a never-ending hallway that grew increasingly disturbing as it looped back to the start. Complete with a creepy ghost of a pregnant lady, fetus twisting in the bathroom sink, and hair-raising radio transmissions describing, among other things, a gruesome murder-suicide, PT proved that Silent Hill would have been right at home in Kojima's expert hands. Unfortunately, after Konami's falling out with video game f.e.a.r, the Silent Hill project was cancelled. In addition, PT, which had already received critical acclaim, was promptly yanked from the PlayStation Store, with players who previously had the game in their library unable to reinstall it. This was indeed a missed opportunity, and perhaps a game that could have breathed new life back into the series. Game of the Week gives us the opportunity to discuss, review and pay homage to titles that stood out to us. Perhaps underrated, but games that we feel need to be placed in focus, regardless of the age, platform or game type. But for this week, and sticking with the horror theme, we wanted to give a shout out to a great and somewhat forgotten PS2 title. Yes, that can only be Primal. Those who remember this game will surely sing its praises. It's a story-driven, supernatural adventure where you follow protagonist Jen, a feisty, strong-willed woman. Jane is a 21-year-old waitress who has overcome a rough past. That includes losing her parents at a young age and learning how to survive on her own. Her boyfriend Lewis is a singer in a rock band and is taken by dark forces soon after he begins to have nightmares. Now it's up to Jane, the only witness to the supernatural forces at work, to find and save him. After beginning her journey, she teams up with Scree, a living gargoyle, to solve puzzles and fight the waiting enemies. You can change between these characters freely to help overcome obstacles and change perspectives across 4 different dark realms that range from an underwater world to a medieval village. As Jen progresses in her journey, she recovers a lost love. She gains abilities through the changing of different forms. Each form has unique abilities that's beneficial not only during fierce combat but also to progress beyond certain game-advancing obstacles. Sidekick Scree can store this energy for when it's needed later for use by the various demon forms. If the gargoyle's reserves are low, then you must rely on finding energy crystals scattered randomly throughout the realms. Primal stands out as a puzzle platform game that fully leveraged the unique power of the PS2 It featured advanced AI programming, realistic motion capture-based fighting sequences, and seamless cutscenes. Indeed a compelling story with unique characters and ideas, advanced techniques for the time that allow for an enjoyable gaming experience that still echoes to us from 2003. Primal is one of the earliest 3D incarnations of the puzzle platforming genre, giving it a special place in PlayStation 2 history and making it our game of the week. Well guys, we've reached the end of another episode. Keep watching, we'll be back next week bringing you some more old and new school gaming content. We're super grateful. Wanted to give a massive shout out to every single one of our supporters, everyone that's watching our videos. Thank you so much guys, and if you've liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button, bell notification, and consider subscribing for future uploads. As always, we're keen to hear from you guys, so let us know in the comments below and what your thoughts are on everything that was covered. CyberCom is your home style gaming show. Thank you so much for supporting us. Till next time, see ya.